what was profound for me as I was growing in my fire career and how I've taken those exact lessons into my life as a father with 3 children is those initial arriving firefighters, the probies that just came off of the academy. They knew the task backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Those firefighters that were going around to the end knew how to throw a ladder. They knew how to make entry. They knew how to do a search because they'd done it thousands of times in the academy. They're also task saturated, right?
Yeah.
So they have no idea what's happening of the fire behavior above their head. They have no idea.
Yeah, they don't even see it.
Yeah.
They're tunnel visioned. They can only see what's right in front of their face, and they have auditory exclusions. They don't hear the radio. They don't hear what's going on around them, and they're very susceptible to getting in trouble and getting hurt, despite them thinking that they're going to go save somebody. They could become a victim themselves.
Which is why they need an officer
Yeah.
on their rig that is tactically focused.
Yeah.
So as you're pulling up to that incident, you know exactly what you need, right? You need a search group.
Yeah.
And you can specifically say what they were. You needed a fire attack group, and you needed to have people come in and backfill them. So when you're assigning those off, that officer is no longer task saturated. That officer is there making sure that the firefighters are doing their job and looking at the tactics to make sure that they stay safe.
Yeah, exactly. And we took that 25 resources I mentioned in the beginning, 25 fire engines, fire trucks, ambulances, fire chiefs are all coming to this fire, and chaos is ensuing. And I reduced the span of control down to 4 to 1. And like Ryan said, it's basically a fire attack group, which is focused on deploying the hose lines, putting the fire out, and getting a water supply from a hydrant. The rescue group, which is focused on getting the little guy out, and also searching all the adjacent apartments for potential victims. A roof division or ventilation group that focused on vertical ventilation, cutting holes in the roof to get the smoke and heat out, and a medical group to receive this little guy and whisk him off to the hospital. And if you don't have all of those happening at the same time, and you miss something, any one of those out of the equation, and that little guy's not going to live. And like I mentioned before, we were already going to another fire, and the term we use is turnout. We turned out to go to this other fire, and being on the road already, going to this other fire at the Goodwill store, saved us at least 2 to 3 minutes that we wouldn't have had we not been already dispatched this other fire and then just simply diverted. We literally had to pass the apartment fire to get to the Goodwill store fire. So we were already there. So on top of that, I mentioned that he was under a wool blanket. He was also in the back bedroom. All these things that we had no control over were teed up for us. And shame on us if we screw up this time, right? And so I tell people that I think God was watching over us that day, and that's why that little guy walked out. And it's no doubt in my mind that that's what happened. And so it's been a pleasure and a privilege and a humbling opportunity to go around the country and teach the lessons learned. And as Ryan's talking about, this isn't just about firefighting, it's about life. I think we'll talk about size up, and we'll talk about task, tactical, strategic as it applies to life, because when you're able to organize your life better, you're going to be more effective in it. That's just the law of nature, right? If you're more organized and you know your plan, you're going to be more effective. So,
and that goes to the third component, which is you had all of your tactical operations assigned, but the only reason you were able to do that is because you were strategically set back in your car, window cracked, and you were focusing on the strategy of the entire incident, so you can see the bulk of it.
Yeah.
So just 30, 45 seconds from a strategic perspective for that call in particular, kind of what's going through your mind?
So, as you mentioned, as the incident commander, I'm at the strategic level of the incident. The buck stops here. But you can imagine with 25 resources coming, I can't have my span of control. Ideally, is 3 or 7. 5 to 1 is about the best. Not 25 to 1. I'm going to lose control. The radio traffic's going to be crazy. So I have a gap between myself at the strategic level command post and the crews working at the task level in the fire. There's a gap there. We call it the tactical gap. That's the space between me and them. In this case, it's about 100 feet wide, and it was in the back of the building, and I'm in the front across the street. So I can't possibly know or see everything that's going on. The radio traffic, again, is paralyzed and bottlenecking. So communications are shot. Accountability is shot. Risk assessment is shot. All the things that are needed to have a successful outcome, let alone keep firefighters from getting hurt, are now being blown out because of this gap, both distance-wise, radio traffic-wise, span of control, and also just situational awareness. So the firefighters working inside are too close to see the big picture, and I'm too far away to see the big picture. So I need that person in between,
Yeah.
in that tactical space. And those were my fire tech, rescue, medical, and roof division or ventilation supervisors. They were my eyes and ears. They were my ambassadors out in that sweet spot in between me and the actual fire building, up close, up against the battlefield, if you will. And they give me information and or resource requests, and I support that. I'm able to then think ahead of the incident further. Do we need more resources in the case? Obviously not in this case. But what if we have a firefighter trapped? What if we have another victim we don't know we have? And as you're mentioning, I think it's important that we help transfer and transmit these lessons to life. Task, tactical, strategic. I think if you look at anything in life, you can organize it through a task, tactical, strategic level, whether it's your family, your job, your life goals, whatever. So, yeah.
It's 100% changed my life. And obviously I'm asking you these questions because they have truly helped to guide me as a man in all facets of life. And just like you said, right? If you have a couple kids in the house, you're trying to clean up for dinner and the kids are bonkers going off the walls, screaming and getting loud and speaking faster is not going to ease the situation.
No. More chaos.
Calm down, talk with your kiddos, grab them by the shoulders, look them in the eye. I need you to clean up while I get food ready. And then you can step back. So all of those same components, if you're coaching a little league softball team,
Yep.
Same thing. How are those little components going to apply? And it's the best feeling in the world, as you've said, to do that on an emergency scene.
Yeah.
But it also is the best feeling in the world as a dad to just be able
Yeah.
to control your life
Yeah.
a little bit better.
Yeah, it's chaotic. We can have task saturation in our car.
Yeah.
We can have task saturation at home, in our office, in our mind. We can become task saturated, where we are just so inundated with thoughts, and I have to do this, and checklists, and deadlines, and I gotta go shopping, I gotta get dinner, I gotta pick up the kids here, I gotta do that over there, and you stop looking at the big picture of your life, and you stop looking at the long-term goals and the vision and the overall trajectory of your life. You're just surviving. That's no way to live. That's not living. It's just thrive. It's just surviving.
Right.
It's existing. And so things suffer, like your ability to have an awesome marriage, your ability to communicate well with your wife, your ability to be an effective father, your ability to communicate with those around you and be looking at the big picture while allowing and supporting those in that tactical space to directly supervise the task level folks. So if you look at a home, like you said, making dinner, my wife and I are great at teamwork. We have different personalities, but we're on the same exact page on what we want. God, family, and everything else is after that. We have 2 beautiful daughters. Well, there's a lot of times where she's the incident commander, she's the boss at the strategic level, and I'm tactical in the morning getting the kids to school. And there's different times. Maybe we're having dinner and I'm strategic, or we're talking about, long-term things like kids' college and so forth. When you have discretionary time, like it's not, 7:45 and the kids have to be at school at 8 and it takes 14 minutes to get to school. That's not discretionary time. So having those pre-designated roles of who's the boss this morning. Okay, it's gonna be my wife. She's the boss. I'm gonna be tactical
Yeah.
and go from there. But on the long-term stuff like finances or vacation, or we're putting a new roof on our house. I literally talked to her about that today. There's plenty of discretionary time. We don't have to argue. We don't have to get stressed. We don't have to have chaos. We can slow down and we can think about it. And that, to me, the roof project is a tactical portion. The guys putting the roof on the house, they're the task level. They're working.
Yep.
My wife and I kind of balance between tactical or strategic and tactical on this. And there's things that sometimes she'll say, that's in my shop. Get out of my shop, she'll say. Get out of my shop. Which means, back off, dude. Get out of my business. Don't micromanage me. And that could be the kids. It could be a number of things. Where I'll say the same thing to her. Honey, you're getting in my shop. And that's usually a one-way street.
I like
Usually I'll say that to her. It doesn't,
It doesn't.
it doesn't work going that way. It works going this way. So the point is like right now, we're putting a new roof on, but we're also putting in a new bathroom in our master bathroom. And we also had a septic deal we had to fix and a bunch of other stuff. Well, I'm kind of the IC of that. I'm the general contractor, if you will. And the tactical is her in the sense that she's picking out what, like I want to make sure we get this, or we get that style tile, or we get this type of roofing color. And I can't just dismiss that and say, oh, I just need to get this done. No, there's discretionary time. And so I knew my wife would want to know and pick out the color of the roof. I'm not going to just arbitrarily make that decision. So, hey, honey, here's some choices. You know, she's out of town at her parents' with our youngest daughter for a couple of days. What do you think? And that's me giving her the tactical and empowering her to say, what do you think? Instead of, hey, I made this decision. This is what we're doing. Get over it, kind of thing. You don't know about roofs. It's condescending. It's rude. It's disrespectful. And it takes away her ownership in the whole thing, right? And then the task level is the workers, the contractor and his crew. That's just one. We also have tile guys. We have bathroom guys, plumbers, all these guys that are going to be doing our bathroom model, putting new windows in. So we're the general contractors, and she does a great job in that tactical space because she loves our home. We love our home. We love where we live. And again, this isn't a gender thing in the sense that, you know, I don't want people to watch this and go, oh, the man has to always be in charge. This is just explaining strategic, tactical, and task as it pertains to my family. My wife is at the strategic level and in charge on a lot of stuff. Trust me.
Yeah.
And so it's got nothing to do with, you know, who wears the pants or any of that stuff. But it's just it's a systematic way to organize stuff. And then so we talk about college, vacation, all that stuff it's the same thing. Strategic, tactical, task. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a game changer.
Yeah, it's fun.